everybody, James and Chelsea here with a video in partnership with Lionsgate about the upcoming Saw film, Spiral, from the Book of Saw, hitting theaters this Friday, May 14th.
So I know everyone knows the kill count set, because that's where we are right now. We wanted to start here because it's familiar, I guess, but this is a trap. I'm taking you with us to the podcast set. That's where I live.
Yeah, we're about to head over there for a sit-down conversation about our 5 favorite things from Spiral.
And even though this is a partnership with Lionsgate, this is a sponsored video, to be 100% clear. This is genuine. This is a genuine little mini review almost. These are 5 things we really did like about it. We've seen it twice, so we know it really, really well at this point. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, we wouldn't lie to you about any of this because, you know, we don't want Jigsaw coming after us. Lying is distasteful.
It's distasteful.
Yeah. All right, on to the review. So, Spiral from the Book of Saw. This is the 9th Saw film in the franchise.
Wow, there's 9 of them.
There are 9
Keep
of them.
coming, let's go.
And this is the first one since 2017's Jigsaw, and it's written by the same guys who wrote that one, Josh Stolberg and Peter Goldfinger. But this one, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman.
Yeah, which is exciting because Darren Lynn Bousman he directed Saw 2, 3, and 4. So he is kind of the guy who really started to steer the ship in terms of what that series really became, I think.
I agree, because James Wan obviously directed the first film, and it was a great movie, but it was those sequels that really established what Saw is. And that was thanks to Darren Lynn Bousman, who returns to the franchise here alongside apparently big Saw fan and executive producer and star of this one, Chris Rock.
I love that so much. Chris Rock is a man of taste, because I also love the Saw movies a lot, and if I had the clout of Chris Rock, I too would put myself in a Saw movie and get another one made, because why not? And it's a great time, so. Yeah. So, first thing that I really like about this is, even though it's the 9th film in a franchise, you don't have to go back and watch the first 8 films to enjoy this one. No, not at all. It's different than, because Jigsaw, I think part of the fun of that is if you'd seen the other ones, it feels all kind of tied in. Mm-hmm. Like this one, it still is. It's from the Book of Saw, but you don't need to have seen any of them.
You could jump in, say you're new to the horror genre, say you recently found a YouTube channel that opened your eyes to the wonderful gifts that the horror genre gives you. You could go and see Spiral from the Book of Saw without having to spend the 16 hours or so catching up on Jigsaw's adventures.
Yeah, which is important because those Saw movies and the movies, again, that Darren Lynn Bousman is doing, that's when the plot starts to get wild. There's twists and turns, and not to say that that's not what's going on here, but yeah, I think you just don't need to know any of that.
Yeah, if you have seen them and if you're familiar with them, you'll notice little tidbits and you'll be have maybe an enhanced viewing. You'll catch Easter eggs, but you don't need to see those to go into this. And I appreciate that because I'm a little, I don't know, I'm a little anal when it comes to like making sure that I've seen everything I need to see before going into a film. And so if I had to watch all 8 films, I might put it off for a little bit, but you don't need to. You can just go see it. At the same time though, another thing that I love about Spiral from the Book of Saw is that it is a Saw movie, unmistakably.
Oh yeah, and once again, we're gonna keep bringing him up because, I mean, how can you not? Darren Lynn Bousman, he's doing 2, 3, 4, he's making the series what it is, including, I think, stylistically, just the things I think of when I think of the Saw movies. You get that in the first one, the like fluorescent kind of sickly green, but I think the green especially, that feels like a Darren Lynn Bousman era kind of visual hallmark, and it feels like one of those movies. If you're nostalgic for, when was that, the 2000s?
Yeah,
we're like
definitely.
mid to late 2000s. We're getting those like mid Saw movies where we're starting to do the 1 a year thing. If you're feeling the nostalgia for that, this visually is really gonna do it for you. Just big, weird, empty industrial spaces where there's just lots of kind of droning sounds, and we're walking around and it's kind of, there's tarp just everywhere.
Fast camera movements that truck out really fast and the people are like, oh God, I'm in a Saw. And the traps themselves are aplenty and good and gory.
They're
and
disgusting, yeah.
Very disgusting and good dilemmas. We were sitting there debating which of the traps we would most want to be in if we had to choose.
We had to pick.
It was hard.
That's a hard decision. They're difficult traps, as they should be. I can't think of an easy Saw trap. I guess there's a few where it's like, oh, actually, teamwork was the answer the whole time. But these are like properly just difficult and they're disgusting. I guarantee if you are a gore hound, you're getting it. If you are easily put off by gore or you get queasy, maybe not the movie for you, but that's a selling point, I feel.
Yeah. Although Darren Lynn Bousman has said that this one is not as gory and violent as the others, which I agree, it's not the same kind of non-stop gore.
No, it's not. It's a nice garnish. It's you get comfortable for a little bit and then all of a sudden it's like the most disgusting shit you've seen in a minute. So.
It's not like the point of the film in this one.
Yeah.
Whereas it is in some of the previous ones. This one, I like garnish. It's a nice gory garnish.
Yeah, like as much as it does feel like such a throwback to those earlier Saw movies, this one does feel like a bit of an update in terms of it's not just about, all right, let's walk through this warehouse trap to trap, where it's just a series of gory kind of vignettes. It's not really what this is.
And all your favorite Saw tropes, there are so many in the franchise, they're back. Some in their regular form, like the pig head mask. You can see that in the trailer. That's back. And some with little tweaks to them. There is a puppet, but is it Billy? I don't know. I don't know how much we can say in this video.
Yeah, I do enjoy the puppet.
And then, of course, there's the hello detective.
Oh, man, hearing hello person. Oh, I'm in heaven. I missed it. It was good to hear it again.
And again, with a nice little modification just to make this movie its own.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that about this.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said, the reason it feels so much like a Saw movie is probably because of Darren Lynn Bousman. And that's another thing that I love about this movie, his direction in general.
Yeah, I think Darren Lynn Bousman does such a cool job of this movie. Again, it's visually interesting, yes, because it looks like the Saw movies, but just in general, like on its own, even if you're not watching it and comparing it, like if you haven't seen any of the other ones and you're not comparing, like, oh wow, this kind of looks similar to the, I think it's still really visually interesting. I often complain that movies are too afraid of color now, and this movie does it so well, and it is lit purposely. That's a big pet peeve of mine too, is that we don't have to work as hard with lighting now because we don't shoot on like film anymore.
Yeah.
But this is like the effort put into making it look visually very cool is there, and I appreciate it.
There are some really well-lit shots and some really fun camera movements too. Mm-hmm. That just like long tracking shots that follow the characters. It's a lot of fun, and it's just, yeah, a delight to look at, which you can't say about every horror movie. Sometimes they just put the camera down and shoot the action, but Darren Lynn Bousman cares about the way the action is recorded and puts a little flourish on it.
I think it serves as such a good counterpoint to the argument that like people only make this stuff to get some kind of sick thrill out of it, although that's obviously part of it.
That's fine
That's
too.
why we're here, right?
And of course, the look of the film is only part of a director's job. Another big part of their job is getting the proper performance from their actors. And he does great, especially with Chris Rock, who most of us know as a comedian and a comedic actor. I love his performance in this because he's taking the role seriously, even when he's being funny.
Weirdly enough, I think often the role of a director people most often forget is like literally getting the performances out of the actors. That's why, you know, some actors, you watch them in one thing and watch them in something else, and it's like a world of difference, and usually that's the director they're working with. And especially a Saw movie, because again, it could be so easy to be in something like this and play it camp, because the concept of Saw is ridiculous. It's inherently ridiculous. It's heightened. That's why it's fun.
And we're in the 9th movie of the series.
Yeah,
it's so
we're in
easy
a 9th
to be like,
movie
a
for
Saw movie.
For sure. But everyone in this is playing it 100% straight. I'm sure, you know, Darren behind the scenes directing everyone, like it all feels very cohesive. Everyone feels like they're in the same movie, which can be hard to do, especially when you're directing someone like Chris Rock, who I can't even imagine getting approached by him. Like, all right, direct me in this 9th sequel of this film franchise that you really like got your start on. Like, he was so young when he directed those few movies. Like, I can't imagine how difficult that would be to then even just giving him notes on a performance, I think would be really intimidating. And I think, yeah, it's all done really well. And good trap acting. I was talking about this last night when we were watching it. Underrated aspect to all of the Saw movies is everyone, like, it's hard to act like you're in that much pain.
Yeah.
Because being on a set and acting is so weird and sterile, and it's just a bunch of people standing around, like, you pan over and there's a production assistant just kind of standing there, you know? Like, it's hard to act, especially just pure emotion like that, like pain. That's hard to fake, and that, I mean, it's great in this, no exception. Again, Darren is like doing it in his sleep at this point.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
As far as the tone goes, another thing that I love about this film is that it is sometimes very funny.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned this yet, but Samuel Jackson is in this.
As Chris Rock's dad.
Oh, it's so good. And I'm glad that this line was in the trailer so that we can talk about it, but just hearing Samuel Jackson say the words
Jigsaw copycat.
Jigsaw copycat. Oh man, my soul ascended. I was just like on another plane of happiness.
And then later he says, "Oh, you want to play a game, motherfucker?"
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's awesome.
Like, even just that's kind of worth the ticket price. It's just like that scene, the idea of Samuel Jackson just like walking his way into a saw trap that sounds like something we would make a bit on the podcast, but it's real and is in a movie that's going to be out in theaters, and that's pretty special.
Yeah. It's so cool to see these really established, well-known, and respected actors take up the Saw franchise and be a part of it. And it's one of my favorite horror franchises, so it makes me so happy to see these actors be in it.
And that's the whole thing too, is like, I love them because they're ridiculous. They're inherently ridiculous. I think sometimes people maybe get the wrong idea that they are supposed to be dead serious, and I don't think that's the case at all. Like, they're over the top, and this is no exception. I do think that this feels a bit more grounded than some of the other ones, which I guess could lead into our next point. But there still is that element of like, this is all like, what's happening? It's so ludicrous, but
yeah, it really walks the tightrope well.
Yeah.
Balancing those things.
And like I just alluded to, the kind of final thing we wanted to discuss is it's kind of relevant. It's like culturally relevant. It doesn't shy away from having opinions, which I think, again, is such a hallmark of Saw. John Kramer has opinions and will tell you all about them as you're getting your scalp ripped off. I don't know. But this movie, yeah, is no exception to that. I think it feels accidentally very timely, because this was filmed, when would this have been filmed?
I'm not sure when it was filmed, but it was originally going to be released last May, like a full year ago. So before the summer of 2020.
Right, and if you watch the trailer, our main character is a police officer. The characters are police officers. We're dealing with the police. We're not shying away from issues like police brutality, police reform, the idea of being a good cop and what that implies. And yeah, like you mentioned, because this was filmed and was supposed to be released before the summer of 2020, this is before, you know, all of the big protests that summer, the kind of, I think, big, like, mainstream entrance of Black Lives Matter that did exist before that as a movement, but that was really, that summer seemed like a turning point, right? It was huge, I mean, worldwide, and what's interesting is this movie isn't influenced by that. This is pre all of that. It's not name dropping that kind of stuff. We're dealing with that stuff, but in a way that doesn't feel heavy-handed or too on the nose, and I think it strikes a really good balance in terms of it's dealing with issues. It explicitly is dealing with issues. Again, it doesn't shy away from having opinions, but it's still a Saw movie, and we're here to watch a Saw movie.
Yeah, and that's not out of place for the series. There was a whole movie about healthcare in the midst of the Obamacare discussion and debate.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, so the series is not new to taking up these subjects and again, having opinions on them, putting the kind of Saw filter on them, and the Jigsaw killer's opinion on how things should be. So this is right at home with the rest of the series in doing that. And yeah, I just can't say enough how great it is that it was made before that issue reemerged as kind of a focal point.
Right, where everyone's talking about
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
So it doesn't feel cheesy or, like you said, exploitative.
Like forced or anything. It doesn't feel like it's capitalizing on this moment because it is not, it can't. It's just such a coincidence that it is now being released after that. It was written, filmed, everything before, which I think is extra interesting,
I love
actually.
it.
And it's
absolutely
weird,
love
like I've had the thought before of like I would love, because the Saw movies, the police are a character in every single movie, and I've thought like I would love to see a Saw movie deal with that, and here it is.
There you go.
So yeah, that's that.
Yeah. So those are 5 things that we really loved about Spiral from the Book of Saw. And again, this was a sponsored video from Lionsgate, but as always, we would not lie to you.
Yeah. Also, you get to see the puppet's nipples. Just kidding.
Okay.
Or do you get to see them?
Dun 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 dun.
Go see the movie and find out if I'm lying.
There's your incentive. Find out.
Maybe all of this sounds not interesting, but maybe you're curious to see if I'm lying about seeing the nipples of the Jigsaw puppet. The Billy puppet. You know what I'm talking about.
Don't get it wrong. People come at you. Spiral from the Book of Saw hits theaters this Friday, May 14th. We have already watched it twice, and we just told you 5 spoiler-free things that we loved about it. So please go see the movie, come back, and comment with what you enjoyed about it.
Jigsaw copycat.
Jigsaw copycat.
Oh, it's music to my ears. He says it so beautifully.
Another thanks to Lionsgate for partnering with us for this video and for sending us that screener. It was really cool to get to watch that ahead of time. Felt really special to be able to do that.
It was hard not to say anything about it.
Yeah.
But we're professionals.
We are. Talking about puppet nipples. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Be good people.